This map visualizes the limits of technological intelligence, or TechInt. TechInt refers to data gathered through remote electronics, like satellites and wiretaps. While a satellite can photograph a building from orbit, it cannot read a target's mind or intercept the offline, face-to-face whispers exchanged inside a local cafe. That blind spot requires human intelligence, or HUMINT. Human relies on physical interpersonal contact. It requires a single operative, dressed in local attire and speaking fluent Urdu, drinking tea with an enemy officer to directly extract their deepest secrets. The man executing this exact strategy was Ajit Doval. Born to a Hindu family in Kerala, Doval was a young officer in the Intelligence Bureau. The Intelligence Bureau is India's internal security and counterintelligence agency. Under their directive, Doval operated entirely under a synthetic identity in Pakistan for 7 years. Deep cover infiltration is a specialized psychological tradecraft. It provides security through the calculated ability to physically become the enemy and intercept data that never reaches a digital network. In the 1980s, South Asia was highly volatile. Pakistan's dictator, General Zia-ul-Haq, initiated an unacknowledged proxy war against India. The fallout crossed the border rapidly. Pakistan's ISI, the Inter-Services Intelligence Agency, supplied weapons, training, and financing to the Khalistan separatist movement in Punjab. This systematic destabilization culminated in Operation Blue Star, a military action at the Golden Temple, and the subsequent assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Indian security forces knew the ISI was orchestrating the violence. However, they lacked the hard, actionable proof required to confirm it, data originating directly from inside Pakistan's borders. The Intelligence Bureau recognized that no remote surveillance could secure this evidence. The only viable option was placing an operative completely off-grid, deep inside Pakistani territory. An unacknowledged human asset functioned as the mechanism to bridge this evidence gap. Doval's mission was the direct response to this operational deficit. This diagram illustrates a legend, a fabricated backstory built to withstand hostile interrogation. Doval adopted a fake name, invented hometown, and detailed ancestral history. He then added linguistic and theological coding, mastering Islamic texts and daily prayers to pass scrutiny from authentic religious scholars. The final layer of his cover required the mastery of physical kinesics. Doval adopted his behavioral mechanics to local customs, down to the highly specific one-handed technique used for breaking bread with his right hand. A synthetic identity operates as a complex psychological framework. It is built to survive extreme counterinterrogation by completely overwriting the agent's original habits. Inside Pakistan, Doval navigated a severe threat matrix. ISI informants monitored local neighborhoods. With zero diplomatic immunity, detection guaranteed immediate torture and an unacknowledged death. The counterintelligence tests were constant. In one instance, following prayers at a local mosque, a Maulvi deliberately confronted Doval. A Maulvi is an Islamic religious scholar. He demanded Doval explain the meaning of a specific Quranic verse to test his legitimacy. Doval provided the correct translation. He then recited the 2 subsequent verses and mapped out their full theological context, delivering significantly more proof than the challenge required. In human intelligence, this functions as a verification protocol. Over-delivering on a hostile test neutralizes immediate suspicion and actively upgrades the operative's security clearance, granting them access to inner circles. Intelligence gathering rarely relies on the physical violence depicted in fiction. It depends on elicitation. Elicitation is the technique of extracting classified information through seemingly casual, guided conversation. Doval successfully befriended a junior ISI officer at a local dhaba. A dhaba is a roadside food stall common in South Asia. Over several weeks, Doval drank tea, listened patiently to the officer's personal frustrations, and slowly secured his absolute trust. This flowchart maps the resulting intelligence yield. Without ever asking a direct question, Doval extracted exact weapon smuggling routes, detailed financial transfer mechanisms, and the identities of Indian politicians compromised by the ISI. This is the mechanism of strategic empathy. Using an enemy's psychological need to vent to a friend yields highly classified data without triggering their defensive protocols. Doval maintained this precise operational posture for 7 years. That translates to 2,555 days, or over 61,000 hours, without breaking character for a single second. The sensory isolation he faced was absolute. He could not contact his family, speak his native language, or acknowledge his past. He lived entirely isolated inside his own mind. A single micro-expression carried fatal consequences. One involuntary tear of homesickness, or accidentally slipping into a Hindi dialect, would immediately trigger his execution. This sustained mental pressure is the cognitive load of espionage. An undercover agent's highest risk of failure comes not from the enemy's counterintelligence patrols, but from their own psychological exhaustion. When Doval finally extracted back to India, he carried a vast data dividend. Indian agencies used his structural maps to identify and dismantle specific funding nodes within the ISI's Khalistan network. Fast forward to 1990. Armed militants barricaded themselves inside the Hazrat Bal Shrine in Kashmir. The shrine houses a highly revered holy relic of the Prophet Muhammad, making it an incredibly sensitive target. The Indian government operated under a strict constraint. Using kinetic military force to clear the compound risked damaging the relic, an outcome that would ignite a massive global religious crisis. Doval deployed to the site unarmed. He walked directly into the compound, spoke the militants' language, and validated their immediate fears, using pure psychological leverage to convince them to surrender. The shrine was secured without a single shot fired. Complex geopolitical nodes are frequently untangled not by applying kinetic military force, but by identifying and utilizing precise psychological leverage. In 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi elevated Ajit Doval to the role of National Security Advisor, placing him at the apex of India's defense apparatus. His 7 years of deep cover directly engineered India's modern security posture. By operating completely inside Pakistan's system, he understands their exact operational mindset. He anticipates their strategic maneuvers before they execute them. For Pakistan, the revelation of his mission stands as a severe psychological defeat. An Indian intelligence officer prayed in their local mosques, drank tea with their officers, and mapped their most guarded secrets for 7 years without detection. Doval's mission illustrates how the sacrifice of a single identity translates into actionable security for millions. It is the definitive case study in how deep cover intelligence provides the foundation for national defense.